Okay, Shalom Akim, Kahalalim La, Yahaba Shem Yahshua, Bashem Hakudash, and double honest rooms and apostles. Thought they Yahshua for the strength in order to make this video, and Yaratazar that you also understand what I'm about to teach in this lesson as well. So, really, just as I named it, there are Israelites that look like the heathen. And of course, a major example, which I'm going to really focus upon, is Cornelius as well. Going to get some precepts there, and then Yaratazar. Really, it could be a short lesson or long lesson, but we'll see how the spirit goes in it. This is Romans chapter 8, and it's the brother Ratazar Racha Halawa, man. In other words, just for short, it's Ratazar. So, this is Romans 8 and verse 16. It says that the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. As it says there, it says the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit. So of course, all we gotta do is really just observe certain, people who look like the heathens. Certain of them actually act like Jake, man. And when I say act like Jake, they behave like Jake, because that Spirit beareth witness with our spirits as well, that they're the children of Israel. The scriptures say ye are the salt of the earth as well. So that's the point right there. It says the Spirit itself. So this is Romans 8 and verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. And then certain heathens out there, they be suffering certain afflictions as well, just like Jake. Certain curses, just like Jake. So that in itself is also a sign too that they're Israelites, man. So that was Romans 8 and 16. The Spirit beareth witness with our spirits. Sometimes all you gotta do is just observe them, and you already can discern in the Spirit that, yeah, these guys are Israelites, man, whomever they are. You got certain Israelites that are in, you got the Irish, you got the Scottish as well. They're also Jake among them too. So you got to bear that in mind, man. And even amongst the other nations as well, man, you still got Jake dwelling amongst them. The ones that don't typically look like the typical Israelite look, like a so-called Negro, so-called Latino, so-called Native American Indian. So let me get Jeremiah now. This is Jeremiah 12 and verse 9. Hold on. This is Jeremiah 12 and verse 9. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. So of course, yeah, all the nations that are round about Israel is against her, man. Which is really talking about, that mine heritage is referring to Israel, by the way. And it's unto me as a speckled bird, which means you're going to get all types of Israelites, man. That's what a speckled bird is, because you've got different types of a speckled bird. So the birds round about are against them, man, which is reference to the other nations as well, because of that fact where Israel really is hated right now. We're also hated as well. We're also getting disciplined rather by the Bashem Yahshua because of our disobedience to the Most High, man. Hence the curses are happening. But once more, Jeremiah 12 and verse 9, mine heritage, Israel, is unto me as a speckled bird. So you're going to get different type of Israelites of whom don't look like the typical Jake, man, the typical Israelite, where, you could have an Israelite of which is from the land of Moab, which is China. You could have a Japanese Israelite, those ones who look like the other nations. You could even have a Israelite of whom looks like an Edomite. I've met one of those back in my day as well, man. When I say back in my day, I was talking about a few years back in secondary school, man. But yeah, they're everywhere, really. There's a whole lot of them. So as the topic goes, man, there are Israelites who look like heathen. So first of all, we brought out Romans 8 and 16 about the fact that the Spirit beareth witness, because we know in the spirit of Israel, they have something distinct within them that's separate from these other heathen nations, man. There's something special within them. As the scriptures say, we are a peculiar people. So of course, in that spirit, we'll find something peculiar about them. And of course, we'll be able to relate with it as well, man, as Jake. So that's Romans 8 and 16. And then I read Jeremiah 12 and verse 9. And I think it's about time for me to get to Acts. see. Right, so I'm going to just read a few selected verses in order to get the context of the point. Because really Acts 10 is about Cornelius. And of course the fact that the Most High is telling Peter that Cornelius isn't a heathen, because he actually looked like a heathen. But it's the fact that he's actually an Israelite, man. He looked like a heathen on the outside, but inwardly he's an Israelite. He got that spirit. Now I'm going to read a few verses here in order to get the point across. So it says here, this is Acts 10 and verse 1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of that band called the Italian band. So of course the centurion is really like part of it's part of the leadership rank of the Roman system. And if you're going back into the Roman Empire, centurion is one of those who lead, a certain band, which is obviously a group of that they're allocated to, and he was part of that Italian band that he was allocated to. So it says a devout man, and of course you got higher ranks than the centurion as well, female, like part of the counselors of it, which that involved really building a reputation in war. So it says in verse 2, a devout man and one that feared Yahweh, and with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to the Most High always. So of course what that means there, because only an Israelite would really have that fear, that inward fear of Yahweh, man, especially in a time of affliction. But he had it innately, day to day. Despite all the other heathens, they don't fear Yahweh, man. But only an Israelite would actually have the potential to fear Yahweh, man. Of course, we know right now 2/3 are in that state where they don't really, and wicked Israelites, they don't really fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, hence why they do what they do. And of course, they have that willing ignorance. Some of them some of them have that conscious willing ignorance, and then some of them have that unconscious ignorance as well. So that's why the Most High, he's going, when the judgment comes, man, you're going to be saying Yahushua, that we endured to that point, man. But I say to that point, but also obviously enduring even more beyond Jacob's struggle as well. It's going to be another task in itself. It's going to be like level 2. So it says Acts 10 and verse 2, a devout man and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to the Most High always. He saw in vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of the Most High coming into him, saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before the Most High. So they're being heard. They were being heard. I think if I recall correctly, somewhere down the line, it talks about him also doing a 4-day fast, man. Which is him afflicting his soul. So that shows true fear. Heathens nowadays, you don't really see them fasting, man. Even if they do fast, it's only for really health benefits or for their own needs. That's the thing. They don't really fast to afflict their souls onto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So that's the difference that you can know from the heathen and the Jake. He's trying to be righteous, of course. As we said, the Spirit beareth witness with our spirits that we are the children of Israel. Because there's certain things we do that are programmed in our spirits that the heathens can't do, that are programmed within their spirits not to do. So let me get to the point now. Let's see. Hold on. Let me just continue reading on for now. Then, as I said, I'll get to the key points of the verses. Right, so it said here in verse 5, and now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. So that was Simon Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon a tanner, which is another Simon. So there were 2 Simons there, Simon Peter, of course Simon the tanner. He had the role of pretty much skinning animals or using animals' fur in order to make clothes, man. Well, animal skin to make clothes. So that's what a tanner is. whose house is by the seaside, he shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. So, of course, Cornelius needed to get instructions, man, when he received that vision. Now, let's see, because as I said, I want to get to the key point. What happened after that was he sent men, of course, in order to get to Simon Peter. But then Peter, he also had a dream as well, which I'm going to get to right now. Yeah, I might as well just keep reading it, Salak, yeah. And then it says in verse 7, and when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them, that waited on him continually. It says, and when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa. So, of course, Cornelius told his trusted soldiers about the dream, and they went to get Simon Peter. On the morrow, as they went on their journey, so this is Acts 10 and verse 9, on the morrow, as they went on their journey, and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the house to pray about the 6th hour. And it says here, and he became hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. So that trance, of course, is where, you receive visions. Yahweh Shah puts that download within the vessel, man. Like this, there could be a vision of the future, it could be a vision in order to explain something, which in Peter's case, it was to explain something. Now it says here, verse 11, Acts 10 and 11, and saw heaven opened and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet, knit at the 4 corners, and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. So, of course, Peter was seeing all sorts of beasts, man, unclean ones as well. And the reason why I say unclean is because of the next verse. It says, but Peter said, not so, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. So, of course, that's what Peter perceived it just from what he was seeing. But there was a deeper meaning to why the Most High let him see that dream. As the scripture said, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So let me just get that right now. You have to that's the Psalms. Actually, not Psalms. I'm not doing it. Okay, 65. This is Isaiah 55 and verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord Yahweh. So, of course, that's true right there, man. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And we got to know that. Because if we then have that knowledge, we know that we need to remain humble and, of course, obey our Bashim Yashah because he knows what's best for us. And it says in Acts 10 and verse 15, actually verse 14, but Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And Peter was referring to the meats that he was seeing, the animals that he was seeing. It says it, and verse 15, and the voice spake unto him again the second time, what the Most High hath cleansed, that call not thou common. So the Most High was referring to, the angel that visited Peter really was referring to, which is all by Yahweh's word at the end of the day. So Yahweh was referring to the fact that it's not the meats that he was referring to, but he was referring to really Cornelius being the Israelite, man, which we're going to get to that point right now, soon after. So it says this was done, verse 16, this was done, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. So it says, now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry of Simon's house and stood before the gate. So, of course, that's when they explain these things. Now, shortly after, Peter will then realize, which I'm gonna read. I'm gonna skip on to that verse right now. Peter then realized, oh, okay, so that unclean or that common person or thing, because in the dream it was a wild beast, which really representative of the heathens. The thing is, Cornelius was actually, as I said, outward appearance as a heathen, as the so-called wild beast, a creeping thing in outward appearance, pertaining to the dream that I'm saying. But inwardly, he was actually an Israelite man. Now, let me skip to that point, and Yaratazar, you also understand as well. Now, hold on. I want to see if there's another key point I need to make. Yeah. I'll read. Hold on. In fact, let me just read from verse 30. So this is Acts 10 and verse 30. And Cornelius said, 4 days ago I was fasting until this hour. And he says, at the ninth hour I prayed in my house, and behold, a man stood before me in bright clothing. So of course that was the angel that appeared unto Cornelius, and he was fasting, man. It shows you the benefits of fasting being as a way to get more spiritual as well. So of course fasting, prayer, in order to be in that heightened spiritual state. And that's what Cornelius did, man. And only Israelites can access that as well. So that in itself was a sign. The fact that, first of all, in verse 2, he was saying it was a devout man and one that feared Yahweh. And of course, it says that he gave alms to the people. So that's verse 2. But continuing on, it says in verse 31, Acts 10 and 31, and said Cornelius, thy prayer is heard, and thine alms are had in remembrance in the sight of the Most High. Send therefore to Joppa, and call hither Simon, whose surname is Peter. This was Simon Peter. He is lodged in the house of one Simon a tanner. So again, two Simons. Simon the tanner was the one really hosting Simon Peter, man. They were like roommates. So he is lodged in the house of Simon a tanner by the seaside, who when he cometh shall speak unto thee. Immediately therefore I sent to thee, and thou hast well done, that thou art come. Now therefore we all here present before the Most High, to hear all things that are commanded thee of the Most High. And this is another key part here. It says here, hold on. Alright, yeah. Key part is reading verse 34 and 35. Then Peter, Acts 10 and 34, then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that the Most High is no respecter of persons. So of course he doesn't look at the outward appearance. Clearly he looks at the inward man. That goes into 1 Samuel 16, man. Where when Samuel came, and of course really was talking about that's when he was hunting for David, in simpler words. And of course from David, he would have he would be used in order to soothe King Saul, man, from all his demons that he was getting. But yeah, as it says here, of a truth, I perceive that the Most High is no respecter of persons. Verse 35, it says, but in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. That shows you right there. If an Israelite from the other nations have the fear of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, that's a very, very strong signal that of course that they're an Israelite, man, despite them looking like a heathen. My heritage are unto me as a speckled bird, Jeremiah 12 and verse 9. You got to remember that. So Cornelius was pretty much a speckled bird. That's what we're saying right there. So that's just one example of, someone of whom was a heathen, or looked like a heathen, but was actually an Israelite, man. So that's the point right there. I wanted to get, and I've already gotten, for my thoughts, I had a new thoughts. Let me read that one again as well. Isaiah 55 and verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. So the Most High is the one who made it so that, okay, let's not have a typical looking Israelite for all of Israel, but let's have some of whom look like speckled birds. So, that's the reason of the Most High right there. That's just the way Israel would be nowadays, man. Not even just nowadays, but throughout, man. Even from the time of Simon Peter, just shortly after Yahushua departed as well. Which really, he was also he was placed within his spirit to tell Cornelius about Yahushua. So, as it says in verse 36, Acts 10 and 36, the word which the Most High sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Yahushua HaMashiach. He is Lord of all. So these words are pretty much the words that Simon Peter was saying unto Cornelius, man. So he was preaching Yahushua unto him. So it says there, hold on, let's see. Yeah, I'll read up to verse 39. Wait. Yeah, I'm gonna treat. Yeah, verse hold on. Yeah, verse 40. Verse 40. So this is Acts 39, Acts 10 and verse 37. The word I say you know, which was published throughout all Judea, and began from Galilee, after the baptism which John preached, how the Most High anointed Yahushua of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, the adversary, demons, for the Most High was with him, and we are witnesses of all things which he did, both in the land of the Jews and in Jerusalem, whom they slew and hanged on a tree, which is reference to, of course, the wood used in order to create the cross. So that's really the point right there, man. Simon Peter was preaching Yahushua unto Cornelius, man. Cornelius already had, that prayer and alms and, of course, reverence to Yahweh. But, of course, he needed to know about Yahushua, man. Hence why Simon Peter was also preaching unto him. So that's the point of Acts 10 right there. So I need to get another precept too. Let's see. 1 Corinthians. Hold on. Because, this is really, let me see something. Okay, from verse 1 to 2, yeah. So this is 1 Corinthians, because we know that this is also a hard saying because of the fact that not everyone will understand that an Israelite can't just look like an Israelite, but is also scattered amongst the nations, man. Heathens of which look like heathens. Well, I say heathens that look like heathens. Israelites that look like heathens are amongst the nations as well. So they got that camouflage, man, amongst these other nations. But this is really, it could be meat for others, certain people, for those of us in this truth. In the beginning, really, it was meat, because it wasn't our time to know about the fact that there's a speckled bird. But these things then slowly become as milk, man. Which is really me just trying to say that it's easy, to understand. Well, let's get this. But there's levels, really, because there's also deeper and deeper breakdowns to these scriptures too. So this is 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians 3 and 1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahushua HaMashiach, in HaMashiach Yahushua. Because Paul was saying that, because, those of us fresh from this truth, well, I say those of us fresh from this truth, those of whom, when we first enter into the truth, the beginning few months or, few years, sometimes we perceive things carnally. So, of course, when we perceive these things carnally, Paul had to speak in a way for them to understand. Hence why he said, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in HaMashiach Yahushua. So, of course, babes of whom are still learning things and are still growing. As am I right now, man. So this is 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 2. I have fed you with milk and not with meat, for hitherto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. So of course there's a time where you're going to be able to understand the meat. And there's a time of which is currently right now, for to receive that milk, man. So really, for the brothers of whom do understand the story, You know, that's all up to Yahweh's will. But of course, milk first, then the meat. So this is really a heavy saying right there, man. That, you know, just the mere concept that there can be people who look like heathens but are actually Israelite. That in itself, not everyone can wrap their head around. But through Yahweh Shem Yahshua, over time, then you'll be able to wrap your head around it, man. For any new brothers that are coming in. So that's really the point right there, Akim. You know, there are heathens that are actually Israelites, man. You know, as I was going back to the topic of the video. So yeah, Yaratazar, you've understood the video, and you know, on to the next one, as apostles, elders, and brothers always say, man. You know, we've got to keep producing this fruit. And Yaratazar once more that you do understand. So Kahalarim La Yahaba Shimi Yavshaba Shem Hakudash, and double honors to the great Muslim apostles. Thal Shah for the strength in order to make this video. And yeah, man. Shalom, shalom.